welcome back everyone to the program. It's the verdict and it's election eve, and we're trying to, feel the pulse of what's happening across the nation, as you can see from all the pictures that we're bringing into you. You did see a helicopter there,
yes,
as part of our live pictures.
Yeah, that's part of, I guess, it's surveillance.
Yeah, so the country is ready and waiting. But before we move on, let's check in with our aviation correspondent, Bukola Jo Oketumbi. She was checking out what passenger traffic is like at local airports here in Lagos.
Standing within the departure hall of the General Aviation Terminal in Lagos. At this time, the passenger traffic is a bit low. One airline official speaking to us off camera told us that many of those going to boats had traveled earlier in the week, and that today they have had to match flights going to the same destination to cut down on their losses. While airlines are looking to cut down on their losses, the election is topmost on the mind of passengers.
Well, I'm expecting a free and fair election in this country, and I commend the efforts of the federal government, both at INEC and the media itself, for educating people of the reasons why the election has been shifted to this date.
Vote with happiness, that this is to show that we are in democracy. That is what I want. I want all Nigeria to come out with peaceful, with love and happiness and vote, to show that we are a great country.
As the clock ticks closer to election day, other Nigerians say their eyes are on the electoral umpire to ensure that the exercise is indeed free and fair.
All right, now we also have comments, wishes and reports from the regions as well. And the former chairperson of the African Union Commission, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, has sent out good wishes as Nigeria and Senegal head to the polls this weekend. Speaking with the media on the sidelines of a land reform conference in Pretoria today, Dr. Dlamini Zuma says the will of the people and nothing else must be reflected at the end of the voting process.
I would like to wish them a successful election where the will of the people will be victorious, so that the government that will follow will really be based on the true will of the Senegalese and the true will of the Nigerian people. That's what I can say.
Right, so all eyes are on us, and apparently eyes are on Senegal as well as we head to the polls. NT, let me hand over to you, as they were saying something.
Yeah, but just before we get back to the question, we need to let the viewers know, and those watching from around the world, that you can watch us on your mobile device. You can download the Channels TV app via the Google Play Store or the iStore to watch us on your mobile device. You can also watch us on YouTube, as in you can carry us wherever you go, on the go. On
no, carry us literally, but follow us.
Literally, no, carry us wherever you go. So you can watch us on YouTube as well, youtube.com/Channels Television. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and you can follow the news and follow our coverage of the elections across the country. We'll keep reaching out to our correspondents to let us know what's happening at every step of the way. But let's get back to the studio here. The question I was asking earlier about the multiple levels of authentication, as talked about by the INEC chairman in the last briefing. He talked about a second code that only he has and the printer of the ballot box. He also talked about the fact that each ballot paper is stamped and dated. Stamped, dated and signed. So as you're getting your ballot paper, when you open it, you'll find out that it's stamped behind and dated with the date for tomorrow, 23rd of February. So do you think those levels of authentication and security would help in any way to ensure that there's no manipulation?
Okay. As a security professional, I will tell you this. The security process you put in place is as good as its weakest link. Now, the weakest link here is human. So whatever process or procedures that you put in place, the weakest link will determine how strong the process is. So if the human is compromised, the system, the protection is compromised.
Yes.
So as much as we've seen what INEC has been able to do here, focus will also be put into ensuring that the right kind of people are the ones that are there to ensure the implementation of this process. So as long as the polling officer, the polling clerk and the polling assistants are there doing the right thing, then the process will work smoothly.
Okay.
Yes, I said I want to quickly ask Shola, one of our guys in Abuja right now, the civil defense guy. I know that the police and civil defense, I'm saying this on live national television right now, they don't see eye to eye. And now they're going to work together. The senior official school, they could work, they could, as a senior officers, they could understand each other. But when you get to the streets, an average policeman doesn't want to see a civil defense man. So now they're going to work together. I know that they'll be trained. Now, I want our representative in Abuja, that's Mr. Shola, the deputy commander, to tell us, I know that he went through training. Are they ready to really have a synergy with rank and files that they're going to work with, on the street?
Okay, Mr. Adumosu, maybe you should answer that. I hope you heard the question there. Could you respond to him?
Yeah, thank you, Richard Amoa. I think I should tell you basically that as it stands today, the narrative is changing. And gone are those days where we used to have such interagency rivalry and conflict. But as it stands today, we are basically and generally working together. I told you earlier that the operation order is ready. The top echelon of all the services, not even basically civil defense and police alone. Virtually all the security agencies are going to be working together. We're working towards a common goal. And don't forget that we've had elections in the past where we all work together and in synergy without any rancor, without any beef or whatsoever. So as it is today, the narrative is changing. And I think we're still evolving, and I'm sure that we're going to get to that level whereby you start seeing officers of different agencies, cutting each other. So it's not really a problem, I must confess to you. We've had joint trainings as far as this electioneering process is concerned. It didn't start today. Remember, we have about 4 years to prepare for this whole process. And what we have today is not as if it's a flash in the pan. We've had joint training, we have joint workshop, we have refresher courses and all of that. And the Minister of Interior, being the coordinating minister of all these agencies, have also, all of these agencies with national accord, with national goal. It's a national interest, I must confess here, and we know, because basically everything is in order. And the Commandant General of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has reiterated over and over again, not only to the upper echelons of our staff, but also to the rank and file. In all of his briefing, he has ensured and made sure and emphatically emphasized that every officer and man of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense must not be seen having any issue with any other agency of government as far as this election is concerned. So he has joined and admonished every one of us. That is why our people are well mobilized. They're well mobilized, they're well trained, they're well tutored. And as far as this election is concerned, a lot of training, a lot of effort had gone down in training our personnel to ensure high level of decorum as far as this is concerned. So we are civil, and we are going to ensure that this is translated in how we operate during the election. And as a matter of fact, and I know that the current IG that we have is a man of his words. He has assured, the Commandant General of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps several times since the inception of his tenure that is ready to work with NSCDC. And so if this is happening at that level, and the Commandant General is also not mincing word in ensuring that our personnel, in fact, it got to the extent where the CG said that any officer of NSCDC that is found culpable as far as non-cooperation is concerned in this election is going to face the music. So this is a song that has been drummed in the ears of all our personnel across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. So any personnel of NSCDC knows that this is a national assignment and that the other services are our brothers. We are serving the nation, and that it must remain as so. So I must tell you, Richard, that the narrative has changed, and you'll be up for a surprise. You're going to see the level of synergy is going to be very fantastic, like you've never seen before. That I can assure you.
We need to ask the question. We need to ask the question, though, about these operational guidelines. It appears as if they are secret, but If they are, no problem, but one would wonder how it works. If I get to a polling booth and I find 2 policemen, 1 civil defense official, 1 immigration official, and a road safety, who's in charge? How does it work? What's the reporting line? That's for any of those in uniform there, not excluding Dr. Kiari, but maybe Mr. Jahun Bello can answer that.
Yeah, let me say something about it, but okay, please let me say something about this issue of synergy. I'm fully aware, I'm involved in Ikiti and Oshun, and 2019, before we even started the preparation, the senior officers of all the agencies made and agree, as far as the uniform in Nigeria is, there's no superiority of uniform, only superiority of ranks. We have all agreed there's no rancor, no problems between the security agencies. And concerning your question on who is going to be the superiority, we all agree. If there's a senior officer among those who that are there, he takes in the reporting system. But the police are the focal agency. They are the lead agency when it comes to elections. So the police is leading. But when it comes to the rank, we agree that rank, there's superiority in rank. Thank you.
Before we go any further.
That makes a bit of sense. Because
Yes.
I just want to clear that.
Sorry, Daddy, before we go any further, we have someone on standby here in Lagos.
Oh,
It's election eve, and Loretta is here in Lagos, Loretta Chogo, and she's actually trying to see how these materials and other, I've nearly said stuff, but other materials needed for the election are being distributed. Loretta.
Here at the Koshofe local government area under the Lagos East Senatorial District, it's a beehive of activities, and they are already piling up the voting materials, sensitive and non-sensitive materials, into buses for onward transmission to the rack centers. The rack centers are where these voting materials will be kept and secured by security agencies till tomorrow morning, when they'll be brought out for the voting exercise. I was able to interact with one of the card reader operators, and he told me the workings of the card reader. Now, the card reader, he told me, has been configured in a manner that it can reject or accept the PVC. It means that if the card reader reads a particular PVC and the biometrics on that PVC does not tally with information on the card reader will automatically reject it. Simply means that if a PVC has been collected maybe in Ondo State and brought to Lagos State, it cannot be accepted and would not be accepted by the card reader because it does not tally with the information already loaded onto this card reader. It's back to you now in the studio.
Okay, thanks a lot, Loretta. Interesting, they're telling us about the card reader and how it might reject information or will reject information that is not already recorded or loaded on it. Now, my panel this evening is very strong, and they're already disagreeing on a couple of things. But Ladi wanted something clear.
Oh, yes, because from what Mr. Jahun Bello said, the police is the lead security agency, which means that when it comes to the issue of the election, they take the lead. But that there's also the question of recognition of rank, right? Yeah. And that rank should be respected. That's what he said. Given that, you know, twin issue, if I'm not saying that there will be, but if indeed there is a disagreement as to procedure or a challenge, how does it work? How does that get resolved?
Okay, as we were discussing before, you see, there are areas where we need to, security agencies are expected to document or sign documents. For example, the result sheet, the form EC8A. Now, because the Nigerian police force is the leading agency, the police officer there is the one responsible to sign, to authenticate the result, representing the Nigerian police, because constitutionally they are the one that is responsible. Even though you have other agencies that are there and the officers are there, they might be outranking the police officer. It is the police officer that will sign. But when it now comes to decision making, when there are issues, then rank will now take precedence in terms of, because you might have a superintendent of immigration there, and probably a police constable that is there, and when it comes to decision, he is an officer, and is expected to have a better understanding or knowledge, and should be able to take higher responsibility when it comes to decision making. Then rank will now suffice. You know, also, a copy of the result sheet, the Form EC8A, is expected to be given to the security agents, and it's only one copy that will be issued. The police will be the one to collect that, because all this will still be collated, and when there is a post-election dispute, the police may be summoned to
bring their own.
So you see DSS officers there and the rest, they will collect, probably that will now be photocopied for them, and if there's extra, then the polling officer can now decide to give to other agents. But when it comes to officially, you know, signing, taking, the police takes the lead.
So if that form is, when the form is signed, the form that is collected by INEC from that polling unit, is that which was signed by the police officer?
Police, yes.
Okay.
Still talking about security, for those our young ones who will be voting for the first time, because I need to let them know one thing, that they need to be aware of the environment in their polling booths. I know that a whole lot of young ones, we want to listen to their music, want to do all kind of things. So this is our first time of voting. We need to educate them to understand that that's not where to do OPP, or kind of, you need to go there, be gentle, do the right thing, make sure that they don't discuss politics or argue with people. I know that sometimes those are young ones, they want to come across that they know it all, they read it on the social media, we've really read it. So when they get there tomorrow, like I said, all these guys are going to be very friendly, truly. I mean, all the security guys at the polling booths, but they must try to respect them. Because that's one thing I've noticed. People tend not to want to respect police, respect all these guys, except the army. But, anything you do around that polling booth tomorrow, they will get you arrested.
Well, it's also important, I think, for us to highlight what we heard from Loretta
about the smart card.
About the smart card reader. Now, I know that the INEC chairman had also pointed to the fact that when you hand over your PVC and the machine is not able to read the card, it doesn't mean the machine is faulty.
Yep.
Because it's very important to highlight that also. And I think that's what the conversation between Loretta and the operator
I think what she was also saying was if it doesn't recognize the information already loaded, then it will reject the card. She was actually talking about card rejection.
Yes, but then in that case, there is, as what we heard, there is a remedy. So that doesn't mean you are not going to
vote.
Well, yes, I think you seek the intervention of the APO.
Some certain algorithms that they work with. And if there's a little glitch, it could be from the handling of the cards or whatever, it might come out as an error.
Right.
Now, so what they've provided is that on the register, there is, instead of the incident form, that there is a portion there where you will now thumbprint. So this can now be referred to if there is a dispute to say, oh, some people that are not supposed to vote here were allowed to vote, even though the cards were rejected. So those fingerprints can now be matched against what is on the system to say, to say whether this person actually was allowed to vote, allowed to vote illegally or not.
But remember, we had one of the guests who said that the way it is by law is the same officer, the same polling officer who you have to report to say this is the issue, and he felt that there was too much power accorded to that person to determine who will vote or who will not vote at the time. And I remember us talking about squabbles or, coming out of it as a result. But tomorrow we'll see.
But the other side is also...
May I also emphasize this? I've witnessed elections and I've witnessed violence in the election. it's important that Nigerians understand that there are extant laws, that the Nigerian laws will not be suspended because of election. Electoral law or act does not superintend over the Nigerian constitution. There are other laws that will also come into effect if people decide to go against those laws, like bearing of arms, violence. Section 33 of the Nigerian Constitution guarantees the life of every Nigerian to be protected. But subsection 2 also stipulates conditions within which people's life can actually be denied. And that also talks about the things that you are not supposed to do. If you do it, a security officer does not require a president or anybody to tell him what to do, because they have been trained. When you subject other people's life into harm of death or bodily harm, they are empowered to use their arms legitimately.
Break time. Break time.
So,